Welcome to a deep dive into the Fallout universe, where we'll explore 200 fascinating facts about one of gaming's most beloved post-apocalyptic franchises. Get comfortable, relax, and let's journey through the Wasteland together. The Fallout series began its life in 1997, when Interplay Entertainment released the first game. The original Fallout was created by a small team led by Tim Cain, who initially developed the game in his spare time. What started as a personal project would eventually become one of the most influential role-playing game franchises in history. The development team originally wanted to use the GURP system for their game mechanics, but after disagreements with the license holder, they created their own system called Special, which stands for Strength, Perception, Endurance, Charisma, Intelligence, Agility, and Luck. The iconic Vault Boy character wasn't originally called Vault Boy. The mascot of the Vault-Tec Corporation was simply referred to as the Vault-Tec mascot during development. His cheerful, thumbs-up pose has become synonymous with the franchise, appearing on everything from perk icons to promotional materials. The character's design was inspired by classic 1950s advertisements and the optimistic yet naive atomic age propaganda that characterized that era. Fallout's setting is based on a divergent timeline where the cultural aesthetic and technology of the 1950s continued into the future. This retro-futuristic world features vacuum tubes instead of transistors, giving everything that distinctive chunky, Art Deco-inspired look. The divergence point is often debated among fans, but the game suggests that sometime after World War II, the technological path taken by humanity split from our own reality. The Great War that devastated the Fallout world lasted only 2 hours. On October 23, 2077, nuclear weapons were launched across the globe, and within 120 minutes, most of human civilization was destroyed. The exact nation that fired first remains unknown, adding to the tragedy and futility of the conflict. This brief but devastating exchange reshaped the entire planet and set the stage for all the games in the series. Vault-Tec, the corporation responsible for building the underground vaults, never intended most of them to save humanity. Out of 122 vaults constructed, only 17 were designed as control vaults meant to actually protect their inhabitants. The rest were social experiments designed to gather data on human behavior under extreme conditions. These experiments ranged from cruel to bizarre, including vaults with only one man and 999 women, vaults where residents were sacrificed annually, and vaults pumped with hallucinogenic drugs. The original Fallout game was almost canceled multiple times during development. Interplay was facing financial difficulties, and the project was seen as risky. Tim Cain and his team worked evenings and weekends to keep the project alive, essentially developing it in secret at times. Their persistence paid off when the game launched to critical acclaim and commercial success. Fallout 2 introduced the Chosen One, a descendant of the original game's Vault Dweller. This sequel expanded the world significantly, taking players to new locations in what was once California, Oregon, and Nevada. The game featured more pop culture references and humor than its predecessor, including encounters with characters from other games and movies, though always with a Fallout twist. The Brotherhood of Steel, one of the franchise's most recognizable factions, was founded by Roger Maxson, a United States Army captain. After discovering the horrific experiments being conducted at Mariposa Military Base, Maxson led a desertion and eventually established the Brotherhood shortly after the nuclear war began. Their mission became preserving technology and preventing another apocalypse, though their methods and philosophy have varied across different chapters. Supermutants were created by exposure to the forced evolutionary virus, or FEV, This bioweapon was originally developed by the United States government as part of the Pan-Immunity Virion project. The virus was meant to create super soldiers immune to biological and chemical warfare, but instead created the hulking, often hostile mutants that plague the Wasteland. Not all super mutants are mindless brutes, however. Intelligence levels vary depending on the radiation exposure of the host before their transformation. The Master, the primary antagonist of the first Fallout game, was once a man named Richard Gray. After falling into a vat of FEV, he underwent a horrific transformation over several days, merging with other organic matter and computers to become a grotesque hybrid entity. His goal was to create a master race of super mutants to inherit the Earth, believing humanity in its current form was too flawed to survive. He remained unaware that FEV-created mutants were sterile, making his entire plan ultimately futile. Dogmeat, the faithful canine companion available in multiple Fallout games, was inspired by the dog from the post-apocalyptic film Mad Max 2. The developers wanted to include a loyal dog companion as a tribute to the film that heavily influenced Fallout's aesthetic and tone. Dogmeat has appeared in various forms throughout the series, always ready to help his human companion survive the Wasteland. The pre-war world of Fallout experienced a massive resource crisis before the nuclear holocaust. Petroleum reserves were nearly exhausted, leading to the resource wars that ravaged the globe from 2052 to 2077. Nations fought desperately over the remaining fossil fuels, with Europe and the Middle East virtually destroying each other in the conflicts. This energy crisis drove innovation in nuclear technology, with fusion and fission power becoming the primary energy sources. Nuka-Cola, the ubiquitous soft drink found throughout the Wasteland, was created by John Caleb Bradburton in 2044. The drink became phenomenally popular, spawning multiple flavors and variations. Bradburton's obsession with his creation led him to have his head preserved in a life support system, where he remained conscious for over 2 centuries, a fate he eventually came to see as a curse rather than immortality. The Chinese invasion of Alaska was a pivotal event in the pre-war timeline. In 2066, China invaded Alaska to seize its oil reserves, beginning the Sino-American War. This conflict would rage for 11 years until the Great War ended everything. The Battle of Anchorage became legendary, with American forces in power armor eventually pushing back the Chinese invasion. This battle is recreated as a virtual reality simulation in Fallout 3. Power armor was developed by Vault-Tec in collaboration with the United States military. The first models, the T-45, were deployed in 2067 during the Sino-American War. These mechanical suits transformed soldiers into walking tanks, capable of carrying heavy weapons and shrugging off small arms fire. Later models, like the T-51B and T-60, improved upon the original design. The development of power armor changed the nature of warfare and became one of the most sought-after technologies in the post-war Wasteland. The Institute, introduced as a major faction in Fallout 4, is actually the remnants of the Commonwealth Institute of Technology, better known as MIT. After the Great War, the scientists and students took refuge underground, eventually creating an advanced subterranean facility. Over the centuries, they developed incredible technology, including synthetic humans and teleportation, but became increasingly isolated from and dismissive of surface dwellers. Synths, the artificial humans created by the Institute, come in 3 generations. First-generation synths are obviously mechanical, skeletal robots with synthetic skin. Second-generation synths look more human, but are still clearly artificial. Third-generation synths are virtually indistinguishable from real humans, complete with synthetic flesh, blood, and organs. The existence of third-generation synths raises profound questions about consciousness, freedom, and what it means to be human. The glowing sea in Fallout 4 marks the ground zero of a direct nuclear hit. This heavily irradiated zone is one of the most dangerous areas in the Commonwealth, where the background radiation is so intense that even power armor provides limited protection. Despite the extreme conditions, life has found a way to persist here, with highly mutated creatures and even human cultists calling this hellish landscape home. Deathclaws, among the most feared creatures in the Wasteland, were originally created by the American military before the war. Based on Jackson's chameleons, these creatures were genetically engineered to be expendable shock troops. After the war, they escaped into the wild and continued to evolve, becoming apex predators, capable of tearing apart even power-armored soldiers. Their intelligence varies, with some populations showing problem-solving abilities and complex social structures. The Enclave represents the remnants of the pre-war United States government. High-ranking officials and military personnel retreated to secure locations before the bombs fell, with the oil rig off the California coast serving as their primary base. They view themselves as the true continuation of America and see Wastelanders as genetically inferior mutants to be eliminated or enslaved. Their advanced technology and fanatical ideology make them formidable antagonists. New Vegas was saved from direct nuclear destruction by Robert House, the enigmatic founder of Robco Industries. Using his vast wealth and technological genius, House created an army of upgraded Securitrons and a sophisticated laser defense system on top of the Lucky 38 casino. When the bombs fell, his system intercepted most of the missiles targeting Las Vegas, though some warheads got through, creating the areas now known as Outer Vegas and the surrounding devastation. Mr. House himself has survived for over 200 years through a combination of technology and isolation. His physical body is kept alive in a sophisticated life support chamber, while his mind remains sharp, interfacing with his computer systems and Securitron army. His plan for New Vegas involves rebuilding civilization under his autocratic but efficient rule, with dreams of eventually reaching space. The New California Republic, or NCR, represents the largest and most stable post-war nation. Founded in 2189, the NCR has expanded from the small community of Shady Sands into a sprawling republic with hundreds of thousands of citizens. They've re-established agriculture, manufacturing, and democratic government, but face challenges including corruption, overexpansion, and conflict with other factions over resources and territory. Caesar's Legion, the brutal slaver empire led by Edward Sallow, represents a dark path for post-apocalyptic humanity. Sallow took the name Caesar and modeled his society after his interpretation of ancient Rome, complete with slavery, crucifixions, and total subjugation of conquered peoples. The Legion is efficient and brings a harsh form of order to the regions it controls, but at the cost of individual freedom and human rights. The Platinum Chip, central to New Vegas's plot, was commissioned by Mr. House before the Great War. This data storage device contains software upgrades for his Securitron army that would make them significantly more powerful. The chip was being delivered on the day the bombs fell, but the courier carrying it was buried in the rubble, where it remained for 2 centuries until the events of the game. Bottle caps became the standard currency in the Wasteland because they couldn't be easily counterfeited and were backed by water merchants in the hub. The idea that something so seemingly worthless could become valuable in the post-apocalypse is a recurring theme in Fallout. Later games have experimented with other currencies, including NCR dollars and Legion denarii, but caps remain the most iconic form of Wasteland money. The Sierra Madre Casino, featured in the Dead Money DLC for New Vegas, represents a pre-war monument to greed and excess that became a post-war tomb. Built by Frederick Sinclair for his love, Vera Keys, the casino was equipped with an impenetrable security system. When the bombs fell, the casino sealed itself, trapping everyone inside. The ghost people who now haunt its halls are actually humans, kept alive by the hazmat suits fused to their bodies, unable to truly die. Big MT, also known as Big Empty, was a massive research facility where pre-war scientists conducted experiments that ranged from brilliant to insane. The think tank, the preserved brains of the head scientists, continued their research for 2 centuries, completely detached from ethics or reality. Their facility contains some of the most advanced and dangerous technology in the entire Fallout universe. The Courier in Fallout New Vegas is unique among Fallout protagonists because their backstory is largely undefined. Shot in the head and left for dead, they begin the game with a literal blank slate. This approach gives players maximum freedom to define who their character was and who they'll become, making the Courier one of the most flexible player characters in the series. Obsidian Entertainment developed Fallout New Vegas in just 18 months, an incredibly short development time for a game of its scope. Despite this constraint, many fans consider New Vegas the best game in the modern Fallout series due to its complex narrative, meaningful choices, and deep role-playing systems. The development team included several people who worked on the original Fallout games, bringing experience and understanding of the franchise's core themes. The Strip in New Vegas is actually 3 separate casinos, each controlled by a different family house recruited to run them. The Omertas control Gomorrah. The White Glove Society runs the Ultra Lux, and the chairmen operate the Tops. Each family has its own dark secrets and agendas, and House's control over them is more tenuous than it first appears. Vault 101 in Fallout 3 was designed never to open. The social experiment was to see how an isolated community would develop over multiple generations, with no contact with the outside world. The Overseer's role was to maintain this isolation at any cost. The player character's departure from the Vault represents a failure of the experiment and sets in motion events that transform the Vault society. James, the lone wanderer's father in Fallout 3, was voiced by Liam Neeson. This casting choice helped establish the emotional connection players feel with the character and added gravitas to the game's opening sequences. James's quest to bring clean water to the capital Wasteland through Project Purity drives much of the main storyline. The capital Wasteland is more heavily damaged than other Fallout locations because Washington, D.C. was hit by many more nuclear weapons than most targets. As the nation's capital, it was subjected to a saturation bombardment meant to ensure complete destruction of the government. 2 centuries later, much of downtown D.C. remains a maze of rubble and ruins, with radiation levels still dangerously high in many areas. The Brotherhood of Steel's presence in the capital Wasteland represents a splinter faction led by Elder Owen Lyons. Unlike other Brotherhood chapters, focused solely on hoarding technology, Lyons' Brotherhood actively works to protect Wastelanders and improve the region. This ideological difference has caused a schism, with the outcasts splitting off to pursue more traditional Brotherhood goals. 3 Dog, the charismatic radio DJ voiced by Eric Todd Dellums, became one of Fallout 3's most memorable characters. Broadcasting from Galaxy News Radio, 3 Dog provides not only music, but news, commentary, and encouragement to Wasteland survivors. He represents hope and connection in a world of isolation and despair, and his broadcasts react to the player's actions, making the world feel more alive. Tranquility Lane, one of Fallout 3's most disturbing locations, is a virtual reality simulation where vault dwellers have been trapped for 2 centuries. Overseer Braun, transformed into a sadistic child avatar, has spent 200 years tormenting the other residents, forcing them through endless cycles of cruelty and death before wiping their memories and starting again. It's a chilling exploration of immortality as punishment. Harold, the mutated ghoul with a tree growing from his head, appears in multiple Fallout games, his condition progressively worsening. In Fallout 3, he's completely immobilized, having transformed into a tree himself. The community of Treeminder has grown around him, worshiping him as a god despite his protests. His request for death presents players with a genuinely difficult moral choice with no clear right answer. The Pit, featured in a Fallout 3 DLC, shows Pittsburgh transformed into a hellish industrial nightmare. Raiders calling themselves workers slave away in the ruins of steel mills, slowly dying from mutations and disease caused by the Trog Plague. The moral ambiguity of the situation, where both the slave owner and the abolitionist have legitimate points, exemplifies Fallout's talent for presenting complex ethical dilemmas. Point Lookout, another Fallout 3 DLC location, is a fog-shrouded swampland where the bombs barely touched, but something far stranger took root. The inbred locals seem to share some form of collective consciousness, and ancient powers lurk in the marshes. The DLC delves into cosmic horror territory, expanding Fallout's typical post-nuclear themes into darker, more mysterious directions. Mothership Zeta reveals that aliens have been observing and occasionally abducting humans for centuries. The alien ship contains people from different time periods, including a pre-war soldier and even a samurai. While this DLC is more comedic and action-oriented than most Fallout content, it confirms that extraterrestrial life exists in the Fallout universe, though their role in the larger story remains ambiguous. Fallout 4 begins with the player character witnessing the bombs fall firsthand. The intro sequence shows everyday pre-war life interrupted by nuclear annihilation, with the protagonist and their family barely making it to the vault in time. This direct experience of the apocalypse gives Fallout 4's story a personal immediacy that other games in the series lack. The Commonwealth in Fallout 4 represents the remains of Massachusetts, with Boston as its centerpiece. Unlike the capital Wasteland, the Commonwealth has seen more successful attempts at rebuilding, with multiple settlements and communities. However, it also faces unique threats, including the Institute's interference and an unusually aggressive super-mutant population. Synth retention and replacement represents one of the Institute's most horrifying practices. They kidnap surface dwellers, study them, and sometimes replace them with synth duplicates programmed to report back to the Institute. This practice has created paranoia throughout the Commonwealth, where anyone could potentially be a synth spy. The psychological horror of not knowing who to trust adds a layer of tension to the game. Nick Valentine, the synth detective, is one of Fallout 4's most beloved companions. Unlike other synths, Nick is a second-generation model with a unique history. He has the memories of a pre-war police detective uploaded into his synthetic brain, giving him a connection to the world before the bombs, while existing in a clearly artificial body. His perspective as someone caught between human and machine adds depth to discussions about synth rights and consciousness. The Minutemen represent grassroots rebuilding efforts in the Commonwealth. Once a powerful force for good, they collapsed after a series of betrayals and defeats. The player can rebuild this militia organization, uniting settlements under a banner of mutual protection and democratic governance. They represent the possibility that ordinary people, working together, can create something better from the ashes. The Railroad faction fights for synth liberation, viewing third-generation synths as fully conscious beings deserving of freedom and rights. They operate in secret, helping synths escape the Institute and building new lives on the surface. Their idealism is admirable, but their single-minded focus sometimes blinds them to other concerns and threats facing the Commonwealth. The Pridwin, the Brotherhood of Steel's massive airship, makes a dramatic entrance partway through Fallout 4. Built from salvaged materials and pre-war technology, it represents the Brotherhood's military might and technological capability. Its arrival changes the dynamic in the Commonwealth, as the Brotherhood begins aggressively seeking technology and demanding synths be destroyed as abominations. Elder Arthur Maxson represents a more militant version of the Brotherhood than seen in Fallout 3. He's reunited the capital Wasteland Brotherhood with the Outcasts, combining Lion's humanitarian mission with traditional Brotherhood focus on technology acquisition. Under his leadership, the Brotherhood views synths as an existential threat to humanity that must be eliminated, regardless of questions about their sentience. Far Harbor, the largest landmass addition in Fallout 4's DLC, explores the island of Mount Desert off the coast of Maine. The island is shrouded in radioactive fog that creates unique environmental challenges. The conflict between the residents of Far Harbor, the synth refuge of Acadia, and the fanatical children of Adam creates a complex web of competing interests with no easy solutions. Dima, the synth leader of Acadia, is one of the most morally complex characters in the Fallout series. Like Nick Valentine, he's an early synth prototype who achieved consciousness. His methods for protecting his people include murder, memory manipulation, and replacement of human leaders with synth duplicates. He believes these actions are necessary evils, forcing players to decide if the ends justify his means. Nuka World, Fallout 4's other major DLC, explores an abandoned amusement park that's been taken over by raiders. The player can choose to lead these raiders, conquering settlements throughout the Commonwealth. This option to fully embrace villainy was controversial among fans, as it goes against the heroic tone of much of the base game, but it provides a darker alternate path through the Wasteland. The red rocket trucks stopped scattered throughout the Wasteland serve as nostalgic reminders of pre-war commerce. These distinctive buildings, with their rocket-shaped signs, have become iconic images in the Fallout series. In Fallout 4, one red rocket near Sanctuary Hills becomes an early player settlement option and houses Dogmeat before he joins the player. Sanctuary Hills, the pre-war suburb that becomes the player's first settlement in Fallout 4, shows both the comfortable life Americans enjoyed before the war and how quickly it all crumbled. The preserved pre-war houses, now decrepit and damaged, can be rebuilt into a thriving community or left as a ghost town, depending on player choices. This location encapsulates the game's themes of loss and rebuilding. The settlement building system in Fallout 4 was a controversial addition to the series. Some players loved the creative freedom and the ability to truly reshape the Wasteland, while others felt it distracted from traditional RPG elements. Regardless of opinions, settlements add a layer of strategy and personalization to the game, allowing players to create their own vision of post-apocalyptic reconstruction. Radiant quests, the repeatable, randomly generated missions in Fallout 4, were designed to provide endless content, but received criticism for feeling repetitive. Settlement defense missions and bounty hunting jobs could theoretically continue forever, but many players found them shallow compared to handcrafted story quests. The system represents Bethesda's attempt to add replayability, but highlighted the difference between quantity and quality of content. The combat zone was planned to be a more complex location where players could participate in arena battles and interact with raiders. In the final game, it's reduced to a simple combat encounter where you rescue Kate. This represents one of many cut or simplified features, reminding players that game development involves difficult decisions about scope and time constraints. Kate, the cage fighter companion, has one of the most tragic backstories in Fallout 4. Sold into slavery by her own parents, she survived through violence and developed addictions to cope with trauma. Her personal quest involves helping her overcome addiction, touching on serious themes of recovery and healing. Her tough exterior and vulnerability make her a compelling and multidimensional character. Piper Wright, the intrepid reporter, running Public Occurrences newspaper, represents the importance of truth in journalism even in the apocalypse. Her investigations into the Institute and synth replacements have made her unpopular with some, but she refuses to stop seeking and publishing the truth. She embodies the idea that information and accountability matter in any functioning society. Paladin Dance's personal storyline contains one of Fallout 4's most significant twists. This dedicated Brotherhood soldier discovers he's actually a synth, a realization that challenges his entire worldview and sense of identity. His crisis forces both the character and the player to confront the Brotherhood's anti-synth ideology and question whether synthetic origin negates a person's accomplishments and relationships. Curie, the Miss Nanny robot turned synth, provides a unique perspective on consciousness and humanity. Originally a robot with sophisticated AI, she transfers her consciousness into a synth body to continue her scientific research. Her childlike wonder at experiencing human sensations and emotions while possessing vast scientific knowledge creates endearing and thought-provoking interactions. McCready, the former mayor of Little Lamplight from Fallout 3, appears as an adult companion in Fallout 4. His transformation from an annoying child leader to a troubled but capable mercenary shows the passage of time and the harsh realities of growing up in the Wasteland. His quest to save his sick son adds emotional depth and shows how Wastelanders continue building families and futures despite the harsh world. Preston Garvey became somewhat infamous among Fallout 4 players for his endless settlement quests. His dedication to helping people and rebuilding the Minutemen is admirable, but the constant stream of missions asking for help defending settlements became a meme in the gaming community. Despite this, he represents the everyday heroism and determination required to build something better in the Wasteland. Strong, the super mutant companion, searching for the milk of human kindness, provides both comic relief and insight into mutant psychology. His literal interpretation of a phrase from a Shakespeare recording drives his quest to understand human strength and weakness. His presence challenges players to consider whether super mutants can transcend their violent origins and find purpose beyond combat. X688, the Institute Courser companion, represents the cold efficiency of the Institute's approach. As an enhanced synth assassin, he's loyal to the Institute and views surface dwellers with detachment. His perspective offers insight into how the Institute views the Commonwealth and why they believe their authoritarian approach is justified. His unwavering dedication contrasts sharply with synths seeking freedom. Hancock, the ghoul mayor of Goodneighbor, chose his transformation deliberately, taking an experimental radiation drug to prove his commitment to his constituents. His pre-war name was John Hancock, embracing the revolutionary heritage of his name by fighting against inequality and oppression. His bohemian leadership style and commitment to personal freedom make Good Neighbor a haven for outcasts. Good Neighbor itself represents an alternative to Diamond City's structured society. Built in the ruins of Boston's Scollay Square, this settlement welcomes ghouls, synths, and anyone else rejected elsewhere. Its scrappy independence and tolerance contrast with other communities' prejudices, though its rough edges and criminal elements show that freedom comes with its own complications. Diamond City, built inside Fenway Park, is the Commonwealth's largest and most prosperous settlement. The creative use of the baseball stadium as a fortified community shows wasteland ingenuity at its best. However, beneath the surface prosperity lies suspicion of outsiders, particularly synths, leading to segregation of ghouls and paranoia that tears families apart. The Institute's underground facility is a stark contrast to the surface world, a gleaming high-tech sanctuary where scientists pursue knowledge without ethical constraints. Advanced hydroponics feed the population, synths handle manual labor, and researchers work on projects ranging from synthetic biology to teleportation. This underground utopia exists at the expense of the surface, viewing Commonwealth dwellers as acceptable casualties in the pursuit of progress. Father, the leader of the Institute, reveals himself as Sean, the player character's kidnapped son. This personal connection complicates what might otherwise be a straightforward conflict between factions. Sean's transformation from victim to antagonist, and his conviction that the Institute represents humanity's only hope, forces players to confront whether family loyalty transcends moral disagreements about methodology and governance. The Memory Den in Good Neighbor offers services to view, relive, and even alter memories. This technology raises profound questions about identity and truth. Dr. Amari's ability to help the player access Kellogg's memories through their neural implant demonstrates both the power and danger of this technology. Memory manipulation capabilities suggest possibilities for both therapy and totalitarian control. Kellogg, the mercenary who kidnapped Sean and killed the player's spouse, is more than a simple villain. His tragic backstory, revealed through his memories, shows a man shaped by loss and violence, who eventually became the monster his circumstances created. His enhancements from the Institute kept him alive for over a century, making him a cautionary tale about the price of survival. The Glowing One variant of feral ghouls demonstrates how extreme radiation can transform already mutated humans. These highly radioactive ghouls emit so much radiation they can heal other ghouls while harming humans. Their presence creates strategic challenges in combat and environmental hazards. They represent the extreme end of ghoul mutation, often found in the most heavily irradiated zones. Feral ghouls themselves represent the tragic fate awaiting many ghouls. The exact mechanism that causes some ghouls to go feral while others retain their intelligence isn't fully understood, but it appears to involve both radiation exposure and psychological factors. The existence of ferals creates prejudice against all ghouls, as people fear any ghoul might eventually lose their humanity. The children of Adam worship radiation as a divine force, viewing the Great War as a sacred event. Their faith, which seems insane to most Wastelanders, grants them apparent immunity to radiation through sheer belief. Though whether this is psychological, evolutionary, or miraculous remains unclear. In Far Harbor, they've established a settlement in the heart of a radioactive submarine base, considering the deadly environment holy ground. The nucleus, the Children of Adam submarine base in Far Harbor, contains active nuclear weapons. Their possession of these weapons makes them a genuine threat, despite their relatively small numbers. The philosophical question of whether religious zealots who worship nuclear fire should control nuclear weapons adds tension to Far Harbor's political situation. Atom Cats, despite their name, have nothing to do with the children of Adam. This greaser-themed gang specializes in power armor, collecting and customizing suits while maintaining a 1950s hot rod aesthetic. Their peaceful, friendly nature makes them one of the few genuinely benevolent groups in the Wasteland, proving that not every faction needs to be morally gray or antagonistic. The Mechanist in Fallout 4's Automatron DLC has a different origin than their Fallout 3 counterpart. This Mechanist is Isabel Cruz, using robot armies to protect the Commonwealth, unaware her flawed programming is causing her robots to kill the people they're meant to save. Her tragic, misguided heroism and willingness to atone when shown her mistakes present a rare example of redemption in the Wasteland. Ada, the Assaultron companion from Automatron, represents artificial intelligence grappling with loss and purpose. After raiders destroy her caravan family, she seeks revenge and meaning. Her ability to be extensively modified gives players a customizable companion, but her developing personality and mourning for her lost friends proves that consciousness and emotion aren't limited to organic or synth beings. Assaultrons are among the most dangerous pre-war combat robots, designed to infiltrate enemy positions and eliminate targets with extreme prejudice. Their feminine programming voice contrasts disturbingly with their lethal capabilities. The head-mounted laser can disintegrate targets in seconds, making them feared encounters throughout all games in which they appear. Protectrons, the boxy security robots found throughout the Wasteland, represent pre-war America's reliance on automation. Despite being outdated and clunky, many still function 2 centuries later, patrolling their assigned areas or waiting for activation. Their various personality modes, from law enforcement to medical assistance, show the diverse applications of robotics before the war. Mr. Handy and Miss Nanny robots served as domestic helpers before the war, handling household chores with cheery personalities and British accents. Codsworth, the sole survivor's pre-war robot butler, waited at Sanctuary Hills for 200 years, maintaining the property and hoping for his master's return. His loyalty and deteriorating mental state from centuries of isolation make him both endearing and tragic. Sentry bots represent heavy military hardware, rolling tanks armed with minigun and missile launchers. Their heavy armor makes them difficult to damage, and their firepower can shred unprepared players. Finding one still functional is dangerous, while salvaging one for parts or reprogramming it for settlement defense is highly valuable. iBots are small flying robots that served various purposes, from reconnaissance to propaganda broadcast. EDE in New Vegas contains valuable data and can be upgraded throughout the game, making this small companion surprisingly useful. iBots show that not all robots need to be combat-focused to be valuable in the Wasteland. Liberty Prime, the massive combat robot seen in Fallout 3 and 4, represents pre-war American military ambition taken to absurd extremes. Standing several stories tall and armed with nuclear weapons, Prime spouts anti-communist propaganda while devastating enemies. His over-the-top patriotic proclamations satirize Cold War mentality while providing spectacular set-piece battles. The Railroad's headquarters, hidden in the Old North Church using historical codes from Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, shows attention to historical detail in Fallout's world-building. The password, Railroad, and the use of Revolutionary War history to protect synth liberation efforts creates thematic parallels between the American Revolution and the struggle for synth freedom. Bunker Hill, both a historical landmark and a major trading hub in Fallout 4, shows how communities form around salvageable resources and strategic locations. The settlement's prosperity comes from maintaining neutrality and facilitating commerce between factions. This pragmatic approach to survival demonstrates that not every group needs to be ideologically driven or militarily powerful to thrive. The USS Constitution, a sailing ship somehow mounted atop a building and attempting to reach the ocean, represents one of Fallout's most absurd yet charming quests. The ship's robot crew, still following their pre-war programming to fight the British, need help completing their voyage. The combination of historical reverence and complete absurdity exemplifies Fallout's unique tonal balance. The Prydwen's destruction, possible in certain Fallout 4 endings, creates one of the game's most visually spectacular moments. The massive airship crashing into Boston Airport demonstrates the consequences of factional conflict and the player's choices. Watching it burn shows that even the mighty Brotherhood isn't invincible when faced with determined opposition. The Institute's destruction, an alternative ending option, involves detonating a nuclear bomb inside their underground facility. The irony of using nuclear weapons to destroy what some consider humanity's last hope mirrors the Great War itself. This ending emphasizes that the cycle of destruction continues, and old weapons still have the power to reshape the Commonwealth's future. The Minutemen artillery system, once established, allows players to call in support strikes across the Commonwealth. This mechanic demonstrates how coordinated settlements working together become more powerful than the sum of their parts. The smoke grenades calling down artillery fire provide satisfying tactical options in difficult encounters. Vertibirds, the military helicopters used extensively by the Brotherhood, become available to the player in various ways depending on faction choices. Flying over the Commonwealth in these aircraft provides a new perspective on the world, while highlighting both the majesty and devastation of the post-nuclear landscape. Their tendency to crash has become a running joke in the community. Quincy Massacre backstory reveals how the Minutemen fell apart before the game begins. The Gunners' attack on this settlement, aided by the traitorous Minuteman Clint, destroyed the organization's credibility and scattered its members. Preston Garvey carries guilt for surviving while so many died, driving his determination to rebuild what was lost and prevent future tragedies. The Gunners are the Commonwealth's most organized mercenary group, occupying strategic locations and using military tactics. Unlike common raiders, they maintain discipline and hierarchies. Their willingness to take any contract for the right price makes them dangerous enemies and occasional allies, showing that professionalism doesn't require morality in the Wasteland. The Forged. Raiders who worship fire and live in the Saugus Ironworks represent one of many themed raider gangs. Their leader Slag wields a unique super sledge called Shish Kebab, a flaming melee weapon prized by collectors. The Forged's fire-based aesthetic and tactics create memorable encounters in their industrial fortress. The combat zone's original planning included betting systems, where players could wager on fights or participate in tournaments. These cut features would have created another money-making avenue and added depth to the raider factions. The reduced implementation shows how ambitious designs sometimes exceed practical development limitations. Virgil, the super mutant scientist hiding in the glowing sea, represents hope that mutation isn't always permanent. His serum, developed to reverse his own FEV transformation, proves that scientific knowledge can survive and benefit the Wasteland. His choice to become a mutant to escape the Institute demonstrates the moral compromises people make for survival. The FEV lab in the Institute shows they continued experimenting with the virus despite knowing the catastrophic results it produced. Their justification is pure research, but their supermutants have terrorized the Commonwealth for years. This research represents the Institute's willingness to sacrifice surface dwellers for knowledge, underlining their moral bankruptcy despite technological advancement. Swan, the tragic supermutant behemoth living in Boston Commons Pond, was once a man named Edgar Swan. Institute experiments transformed him into a monster, one that nonetheless retained enough memory to return to a location significant in his past life. His presence in the Swan boats creates dark irony, and notes found nearby reveal his heartbreaking transformation. Supermutant behemoths represent the largest and most dangerous variant of FEV mutations. These massive creatures continue growing throughout their lives, becoming walking catastrophes. Fighting them requires careful tactics or heavy firepower. Their rarity makes encounters memorable, though their limited intelligence means they're mostly dangerous rather than strategic threats. Raider settlements scattered throughout Fallout games show attempts at community building, albeit violent and parasitic ones. Some raiders maintain farms and workshops, suggesting they possess skills beyond murder and theft. Their organization into gangs with territories and hierarchies proves that even brutal societies develop structure and culture, however twisted. The Triggermen, gangsters speaking with exaggerated mid-Atlantic accents, occupy various locations, including the Vault-Tec regional headquarters. Their 1920s gangster aesthetic adds to Fallout's retro-future atmosphere. Their presence raises questions about how cultural memories persist and evolve over generations in the Wasteland. Vault 75, hidden beneath Malden Middle School, conducted horrific experiments on children. Under the guise of sheltering families, Vault-Tec scientists murdered parents and used their children for genetic research and combat training. The strongest became new scientists, while the rest were eventually discarded. This vault exemplifies the depths of Vault-Tec's cruelty and the worthlessness they assign to human life. Vault 81 avoided its intended experiment because the original overseer refused to implement it. Designed to develop cures by exposing residents to diseases, the overseer instead sealed the research section. 2 centuries later, the Vault maintains a functioning society, one of the few success stories. However, the sealed research section still contains dangers, including virulent mole rats carrying diseases. Vault 95, designed to rehabilitate addicts before exposing them to drugs again after 5 years, demonstrates particularly cruel social engineering. The experiment succeeded in getting residents clean, then intentionally triggered mass relapse, destroying the community. Finding the vault later, witnessing this betrayal through terminal entries, reinforces how Vault-Tec viewed people as disposable test subjects, rather than human beings deserving protection. Vault 111's cryogenic experiment suspended residents indefinitely, waiting to see how long humans could be preserved. The Institute's intrusion and kidnapping of Sean, followed by the system failures that killed most residents, transformed the experiment into a tomb. The player character's survival, as the sole survivor, creates their unique position as someone from before the war, unchanged by 2 centuries of Wasteland evolution. Vault 114, built in Boston's Park Street Station, was designed to study leadership by placing a lower-class overseer in charge of wealthy residents. Construction never completed before the war, and raiders later occupied the unfinished vault. The partially completed luxury accommodations next to bare metal walls create a surreal environment where class warfare never got to truly begin. Vault 88, accessible through DLC, gives players the chance to become an overseer and build their own vault. However, the original overseer survived as a ghoul and wants to continue Vault-Tec's experiments. Players can choose to help her conduct unethical research on settlers, or reject her plans and create a genuine sanctuary. This moral choice puts players in Vault-Tec's position, testing whether power corrupts. The Vault-Tec rep encountered in Fallout 4 survived as a ghoul and can be recruited to settlements. His enthusiastic sales pitch for Vault Space, now pointless centuries after the bombs fell, is both comedic and sad. He represents countless workers who believed they were saving humanity while actually serving a corporation conducting mass human experimentation. Weapons modification in Fallout 4 allows extensive customization of firearms, creating unique arsenals tailored to playstyles. This system gives purpose to salvaged materials and encourages exploration for rare components. The ability to transform a basic pipe pistol into a sniper rifle or automatic weapon demonstrates Wasteland ingenuity and player creativity. The Overseer's Guardian, a unique combat rifle sold in Vault 81, fires 2 projectiles for the price of 1 due to its legendary effect. This makes it one of the most powerful weapons available early in the game, rewarding players who explore and complete the Vault's quests. Unique weapons like this encourage exploration and provide memorable rewards beyond experience points. Legendary enemies, introduced in Fallout 4, mutate during combat and drop weapons or armor with special effects. These random encounters create excitement and unpredictability, as players never know when a tough fight might yield a game-changing piece of equipment. The variety of legendary effects, from explosive ammunition to never-ending magazines, adds depth to the loot system. Survival mode in Fallout 4 transforms the game into a more realistic and challenging experience. Removing fast travel, adding hunger and thirst, making diseases threatening, and limiting saves to sleeping creates tension and makes every decision matter. This optional difficulty dramatically changes how players approach the game, emphasizing preparation and caution over reckless aggression. The Gauss rifle represents one of the most powerful weapons in the Fallout arsenal, using electromagnetic coils to fire projectiles at incredible velocities. Originally developed before the Great War as a next-generation infantry weapon, these rifles are rare and highly sought after. The satisfying sound of the charging capacitors and the devastating impact make finding one a milestone moment for any Wasteland survivor. The Fat Man launcher fires miniature nuclear warheads, making it the most destructive portable weapon in the Fallout universe. Named after the bomb dropped on Nagasaki, this weapon embodies the nuclear obsession of the Fallout world. The mushroom cloud from each shot serves as a reminder that even 2 centuries after the apocalypse, humanity still wields the power that destroyed civilization. The experimental MIR-V modification for the Fat Man launches 8 mini-nukes simultaneously, creating an apocalyptic barrage that can clear entire areas. Found in the National Guard depot in Fallout 3, this weapon is impractical due to ammunition scarcity, but spectacular when used. It represents overkill, taken to absurd extremes, perfectly fitting Fallout's satirical tone. Plasma weapons fire superheated bolts of ionized gas that can reduce enemies to glowing ash piles. These energy weapons represent advanced pre-war military technology that remains effective centuries later. The distinctive green glow and the way victims disintegrate creates memorable combat moments and demonstrates how energy weapons complement ballistic firearms in the Wasteland arsenal. Laser weapons come in various forms, from pistols to Gatling guns, all firing concentrated beams of light. The Institute's advanced laser rifles represent the pinnacle of this technology, while scattered pre-war models show various stages of development. The ability to turn enemies into ash piles makes these weapons both practical for inventory management and viscerally satisfying. The railway rifle, a makeshift weapon that fires railroad spikes with enough force to pin enemies to walls, exemplifies Wasteland engineering. Built from scrap by innovative survivors, this weapon proves that deadly armaments don't require pre-war technology. The sight of raiders crucified to walls by railway spikes creates darkly memorable scenes. Cryogenic weapons freeze enemies solid before shattering them into frozen chunks. The cryolator, found in Vault 111, uses advanced pre-war technology to weaponize extreme cold. Watching enemies freeze mid-charge and shatter adds tactical options and spectacular visual effects to combat encounters. The Alien Blaster, hidden in various locations across different games, fires superheated energy cells that disintegrate targets. This rare weapon confirms alien presence in the Fallout universe, while providing one of the most powerful pistols available. Its unique ammunition makes it precious, forcing players to save it for crucial moments. Melee weapons range from crude pipe wrenches to sophisticated power fists and super sledges. The variety allows players to build viable close combat characters, despite the Wasteland's dangers seemingly favoring ranged warfare. Perks and legendary effects can make melee builds devastatingly effective, proving that not every survivor needs to rely on guns. The Ripper, a chainsaw-like weapon, provides satisfying close-quarters carnage. The sound of its motor revving and blade spinning creates visceral feedback that makes melee combat engaging. Modified versions with legendary effects like bleeding damage or instigating can transform this already brutal weapon into a legendary implement of destruction. Shish Kebab, the flaming sword created by raiders, combines a motorcycle part with a pilot light to create a blade wreathed in fire. This creative engineering demonstrates that Wasteland ingenuity applies to weapons as much as survival. The flame effects and extra damage make it a prized melee weapon, especially early in the game. Krimv's Tooth, a sacrificial blade found in a dark pool beneath a quarry, hints at eldritch horror lurking in the Wasteland. This unique weapon combines excellent base damage with an unsettling backstory involving ritual sacrifice. It represents Fallout's willingness to incorporate horror elements beyond nuclear devastation into its world. Pikmin's Blade, the calling card weapon of Pikmin the serial killer, raises questions about morality in the Wasteland. Pikmin kills raiders exclusively, making him a vigilante or psychopath, depending on perspective. His blade, found in his gallery, decorated with raider corpses arranged as art, provides excellent stats while forcing players to confront uncomfortable questions about justice and madness. The Deliverer, a unique suppressed pistol received from the railroad, combines excellent accuracy with a low action point cost in VATS. This makes it perfect for stealth builds, allowing multiple precise shots before enemies react. Its association with the railroad's covert operations gives it narrative significance beyond mere statistics. Kellogg's Pistol, taken from the mercenary who killed the sole survivor's spouse, provides both a powerful weapon and symbolic revenge. The gun's unique effect refilling action, points on critical hits, makes it excellent for VATS-focused builds. Carrying this weapon serves as a reminder of both loss and justice throughout the game. Old Faithful, a unique laser rifle sold in Diamond City, showcases how merchants acquire and sell pre-war technology. Its instigating effect, doubling damage to full health enemies, makes it excellent for opening combat encounters. The weapon's reliability mirrors its name, making it a trustworthy companion throughout the Commonwealth. Spray and Pray, a submachine gun that fires explosive rounds, turns automatic fire into an area of effect barrage. Sold by the traveling merchant Cricket, This weapon can clear rooms of enemies, but also damage the user if fired carelessly at close range. It exemplifies powerful gear hidden throughout the Wasteland, rewarding exploration and merchant interactions. Two-shot legendary effect essentially doubles weapon damage by firing an additional projectile. This effect on the right weapon, particularly shotguns or high-damage rifles, creates some of the most powerful conventional weapons in the game. Finding or purchasing two-shot weapons becomes a priority for players seeking to maximize combat effectiveness. Explosive legendary effect turns any weapon into a room-clearing monster, with each bullet creating a small explosion. An explosive minigun or shotgun can devastate groups of enemies, but also threatens the user with splash damage. This effect demonstrates how legendary modifiers fundamentally change weapon functionality and tactics. Never-ending legendary effect removes reload requirements, allowing continuous fire until ammunition depletes. On weapons with small magazines, this effect transforms their viability, making them competitive with usually superior alternatives. A never-ending laser musket or double-barrel shotgun becomes far more practical than their base versions. Bleeding legendary effect causes continuous damage over time, making it particularly effective against heavily armored enemies. Since this damage bypasses armor entirely, even weak weapons with bleeding effects can take down tough opponents given enough time. This effect makes seemingly useless drops potentially valuable, encouraging experimentation with different weapon types. Wounding legendary effect, similar to bleeding, applies stacking damage over time. Multiple hits compound this effect, making automatic weapons with wounding particularly deadly. The synergy between effect and weapon type demonstrates how Fallout 4's legendary system creates build diversity and encourages players to work with what they find, rather than only seeking specific weapons. Irradiated legendary effect adds radiation damage to attacks, particularly effective against humans and many creatures. However, its uselessness against robots, ghouls, and other radiation-immune enemies limits its versatility. This situational effectiveness mirrors real-world weapon specialization, where different tools suit different circumstances. Staggering legendary effect interrupts enemy attacks, providing crowd control against aggressive foes. On automatic weapons, this effect can lock down dangerous enemies, preventing them from fighting back effectively. The tactical advantage of controlling enemy actions makes this effect valuable beyond raw damage numbers. Crippling legendary effect targets specific body parts, potentially disabling enemy weapons or mobility. This effect allows players to neutralize threats without killing, or to make dangerous enemies manageable by destroying their legs. The strategic depth adds meaningful choice to combat beyond simply maximizing damage output. VATS, the Vault-Tec assisted targeting system, represents Fallout's signature combat mechanic. This system pauses or slows time, allowing players to target specific body parts with displayed hit percentages. VATS bridges the gap between classic turn-based RPG combat and real-time shooter mechanics, creating a unique hybrid that defines Fallout's gameplay. Critical hits in VATS, manually triggered in Fallout 4 through the critical meter, provide guaranteed damage and hit chance. This system rewards building the meter through successful attacks, and then unleashing criticals at crucial moments. The strategic layer of managing critical hits adds depth to combat encounters and character building. Action points determine how many VATS actions a character can perform before returning to real time. Agility primarily governs action point pools, making it valuable for VATS-focused builds. The interplay between weapon AP costs, total AP, and AP regeneration creates mathematical optimization opportunities that appeal to min-max players. Perception affects VATS accuracy and awareness, making it crucial for characters relying on the system. Higher perception extends compass detection range and improves hit chances, particularly at longer distances. This makes perception valuable beyond combat, helping players find hidden items and detect enemies before they attack. Luck influences critical hit frequency and recharge rate, making it, paradoxically, one of the most powerful combat stats. Combined with specific perks, high luck builds can trigger critical hits frequently, turning VATS into a devastating offensive tool. This demonstrates how Fallout's systems reward specialization and creative character building. Better criticals. Perk increases critical hit damage significantly, synergizing with luck-focused builds. Maximum investment can roughly double critical damage, transforming already powerful attacks into devastating strikes. This perk exemplifies how Fallout's character progression allows players to specialize and create uniquely powerful builds. Gun Fu perk allows successive VATS attacks against different targets to gain increasing damage bonuses. This encourages and rewards players who spread attacks across multiple enemies rather than focusing fire. The perk's name references martial arts cinema, while creating a playstyle that feels appropriately cinematic and empowering. Grim Reaper's Sprint, a luck perk, restores all action points when killing an enemy in VATS if the critical meter is charged. This can create chains where players eliminate entire groups without leaving VATS, feeling unstoppable. The risk-reward of saving critical meter versus spending it adds engaging moment-to-moment decision-making. Concentrated fire allows subsequent VATS attacks on the same body part to gain accuracy bonuses. This makes targeting specific parts more viable, particularly useful for disarming enemies or crippling dangerous creatures. The perk rewards careful aim and planning, rather than just spreading shots randomly. Mysterious Stranger, a mysterious perk, granted ally who randomly appears to eliminate VATS targets, has appeared throughout the Fallout series. His identity remains unknown, creating an ongoing mystery. His sudden appearances with dramatic music and devastating attacks make him a fan-favorite feature despite his randomness. Misfortune, an alternative to Mysterious Stranger, appears as a woman who incapacitates enemies rather than killing them. Her appearances are equally mysterious, and her distinct visual style makes her instantly recognizable. These helper perks add unpredictability and entertainment value beyond pure mechanical benefits. Four-leaf clover perk gives each VATS hit a chance to refill the critical meter, synergizing with automatic weapons and high luck builds. This can generate critical hits far more frequently than normal, essentially providing bonus damage on a significant portion of attacks. The luck-based nature makes it feel appropriately like gambling paying off. Sneak mechanics in Fallout 4 allow players to avoid detection and deliver devastating sneak attack criticals. Successful stealth multiplies damage significantly, particularly with ranged weapons and the ninja perk. Stealth builds completely change how players approach encounters, emphasizing planning and positioning over straightforward combat. Ninja perk increases sneak attack damage for melee and ranged attacks alike. Maximum investment provides massive damage multipliers, allowing one-shot kills on even tough enemies. Combined with silenced weapons or melee weapons, this creates the classic assassin playstyle beloved by stealth-focused players. Sandman perk allows silently killing sleeping enemies and even provides an instant kill option at higher ranks. This perk enables pacifist approaches to some situations while also providing horrifying story moments. The ability to wipe out entire raider camps while they sleep showcases the darker possibilities of Wasteland survival. Deacon, the railroad spy who follows the player before recruitment, demonstrates the faction's capabilities and paranoia. His elaborate disguises and false backstories make determining truth from fiction difficult. His companionship provides insight into the Railroad's methods, while keeping his personal history deliberately murky and unreliable. MacCready's killshot ability, unlocked through his companion quest, provides a significant damage boost when hitting heads and vats. This makes him valuable for sniper builds and demonstrates how companion perks can significantly enhance specific playstyles. His personal growth from selfish mercenary to loyal friend reinforces the value of these relationships. Piper's Gift of Gab perk doubles experience from speech challenges and discovering locations. This seemingly simple bonus significantly accelerates character progression, making her an excellent companion for players who enjoy dialogue and exploration. Her enthusiasm and moral compass make her a consistently positive presence. Nick Valentine's Close to Metal perk provides extra attempts when hacking terminals and reduces lockout duration. For players who struggle with hacking minigames, this makes Nick invaluable. His detective skills and personality make him one of the most popular companions, combining usefulness with strong characterization. Kate's Trigger Rush gives increased action point regeneration when health is low, benefiting risk-taking playstyles. This risky bonus suits her personality perfectly. After completing her personal quest and helping her overcome addiction, her perk changes to Combat Rush, providing similar benefits under different conditions. Curie's Combat Medic perk heals the player once per day when health drops critically low. This automatic healing can save players from unexpected deaths, particularly on higher difficulties. Her transition from robot to synth provides unique perspective on consciousness, while her combat bonuses remain consistently helpful. Dance's Know Your Enemy provides bonus damage against synths, ghouls, and super mutants. Given how common these enemies are, this bonus provides frequent value. The irony of receiving an anti-synth damage bonus from a synth adds layers to his character arc and makes his personal quest more impactful. Preston's United We Stand provides damage and damage resistance bonuses when facing multiple enemies. This encourages aggressive playstyles and rewards players who don't shy from difficult encounters. His unwavering idealism, while sometimes frustrating, represents hope that the Wasteland can be rebuilt through cooperation and courage. Strong's Berserk increases melee damage when health is low, perfectly fitting his aggressive super mutant nature. This high-risk, high-reward perk suits melee builds willing to trade safety for damage. His search for understanding human strength creates unique philosophical discussions despite his limited intelligence. X6EN88's Shield Harmonics provides additional energy resistance useful against institute weapons and energy-using enemies. His cold efficiency contrasts with other companions' personalities, providing a different perspective. His presence challenges players to consider whether the Institute's methods might have merit despite their obvious ethical problems. Hancock's Easodoped provides critical hit chance bonus and faster critical meter filling when radiation level is high. This unusual perk encourages embracing radiation rather than avoiding it, fitting Hancock's philosophy of accepting the Wasteland's harsh realities. His friendship demonstrates that ghouls retain their humanity regardless of physical transformation. Longfellow's Hunter's Wisdom provides bonus damage against animals, insects, and sea creatures, particularly useful in Far Harbor. His experience surviving the island makes him an excellent guide through its unique dangers. His gruff exterior hides genuine care for the island's people and deep knowledge of its mysteries. Gage's Lessons in Blood from Nuka World provides increased experience from kills, accelerating character progression. His pragmatic raider philosophy contrasts with most companions' morality. Working with him forces players to embrace darker choices, showing different paths through the Wasteland than typical heroic playthroughs allow. Ada's robotic nature means she doesn't provide a traditional companion perk, but offers extensive customization options. Players can modify her into anything from a floating medical robot to a heavily armed combat platform. This flexibility makes her mechanically interesting even if she lacks the personal perk system of organic companions. Dogmeat, while not providing a traditional perk, works uniquely with the Lone Wanderer perk, allowing players to gain solo bonuses while still having a companion. His inability to be killed permanently makes him worry-free, and his ability to hold down enemies or fetch items provides tactical advantages. His unconditional loyalty makes him perhaps the most beloved companion across all games. Lone Wanderer perk provides significant bonuses when traveling without companions, including increased carry weight and damage resistance. This makes solo playthroughs viable and even advantageous, catering to players who prefer self-reliance. The substantial bonuses demonstrate that companionship involves trade-offs rather than being objectively superior. Party Boy perk removes negative effects from alcohol while enhancing positive effects. This allows using alcohol as a legitimate combat buff rather than desperate last resort. The perk's existence demonstrates Fallout's willingness to include humorous or unconventional character building options alongside serious tactical choices. Idiot Savant perk provides random experience multipliers with higher chances at lower intelligence. This creates the counterintuitive situation where playing a stupid character can level faster than playing a genius. The perk's random nature and absurd animations make it entertaining while providing genuine mechanical benefits to low intelligence builds. This extended journey through the Fallout universe continues to reveal the depth and complexity that makes these games endlessly fascinating. From weapon mechanics to companion abilities, from survival strategies to character optimization, every system interweaves to create rich gameplay possibilities. The Wasteland awaits with infinite stories to tell and discoveries to make. Chemist perk increases the duration and effectiveness of chemical items, making drugs and alcohol more valuable. This benefits builds that rely on performance-enhancing chems for combat advantages. The perk transforms consumables from emergency options into core components of character strategy, particularly for players willing to manage addiction risks. Chem Resistant reduces or eliminates addiction chances from drug use. Combined with Chemist, this creates builds that constantly operate under chemical enhancement without suffering withdrawal penalties. This demonstrates how perks synergize to enable playstyles that would otherwise be impractical or self-destructive. Rad Resistant provides increasing radiation resistance, making highly irradiated areas more accessible. While not eliminating radiation danger entirely, it significantly extends survival time in hot zones. This perk benefits explorers seeking secrets in the glowing sea or other deadly locations where valuable loot hides behind radiation barriers. Ghoulish turns radiation from hazard to healing source, completely inverting normal survival priorities. High-level Ghoulish even allows feral ghouls to become non-hostile, fundamentally changing how players navigate certain areas. This perk enables unique playstyles where players seek radiation rather than avoid it. Aquaboy eliminates drowning and waterborne radiation, opening underwater exploration without penalties. The Commonwealth contains numerous underwater locations with valuable loot that most players miss. This perk rewards thorough exploration while removing frustrating mechanics that limit player freedom. Lead Belly reduces or eliminates radiation from food and water consumption. This makes survival mode more manageable by allowing players to eat and drink without constantly monitoring rad levels. The perk demonstrates attention to quality of life improvements that reduce tedious micromanagement. Solar-powered provides benefits during daytime, including healing and bonus stats. This creates day-night strategic considerations where players might wait for sunrise before tackling difficult content. The perk encourages awareness of time cycles and adds another layer to planning and preparation. Life Giver simply increases maximum health, providing straightforward survivability improvements. Sometimes the best perks are those with clear, uncomplicated benefits. This perk exemplifies how not every character progression choice needs complex mechanics to be valuable. Toughness provides straight damage resistance, reducing incoming physical damage. Like Life Giver, its simplicity is its strength, providing consistent value regardless of playstyle. These foundational defensive perks allow players to survive mistakes and push through difficult content. Adamantium Skeleton reduces or eliminates limb damage, preventing crippled limbs from hampering combat effectiveness. This often overlooked perk prevents frustrating situations where damaged legs slow movement or broken arms reduce accuracy. Its value becomes apparent during extended fights where stimpaks are scarce. Refractor provides energy resistance, protecting against laser, plasma, and radiation attacks. Given how many enemies use energy weapons, this perk provides frequent value. The specialized defense complements damage resistance for well-rounded protection against diverse threats. Moving Target provides damage resistance and energy resistance while sprinting. This encourages aggressive, mobile combat styles, where players charge between cover or rush enemies. The perk rewards skilled movement and positioning over passive tanking. Action Boy increases action point regeneration speed, benefiting VATS users and sprinters alike. Faster AP recovery means more frequent VATS use or extended sprint duration. This perk has broad applicability across different builds, making it consistently valuable. Quick Hands speeds weapon reloading, reducing vulnerability during combat. While seemingly minor, faster reloads can mean life or death in intense firefights. This perk demonstrates how small mechanical improvements compound into significant advantages. Sniper increases weapon steadiness and hold breath duration when aiming. For players who enjoy precision shooting, this makes long-range combat significantly more manageable. The perk caters to specific playstyle preferences while providing substantial benefits to those who value it. Penetrator allows VATS shots to target body parts even when obstructed by cover. This removes one of VATS's major limitations, making the system viable in more situations. Combined with other VATS perks, Penetrator enables builds that rarely leave the targeting system. Concentrated Fire's maximum rank provides such high accuracy bonuses that headshots become practically guaranteed after a few attempts. This transforms difficult enemies into manageable threats when players focus fire intelligently. The perk rewards patience and precision over spray and pray tactics. Gun Nut unlocks weapon modifications, allowing extensive customization of ballistic firearms. This crafting perk is essential for players who want to optimize their arsenal. The ability to add scopes, suppressors, extended magazines, and improved barrels transforms standard weapons into specialized tools. Science unlocks energy weapon and high-tech modifications, complementing Gun Nut for energy weapon users. These crafting perks gate powerful modifications behind investment, creating meaningful character-building choices. Players must decide whether to specialize or spread points across multiple crafting disciplines. Armorer enables armor modifications, improving protection and adding special effects. Heavy armor can be upgraded to provide excellent defense, while lighter armor modifications can enhance stealth capabilities. This perk is essential for maximizing survivability, regardless of preferred armor type. Blacksmith unlocks melee weapon modifications, allowing addition of electrified, serrated, or otherwise enhanced components. This makes melee builds more viable by providing damage scaling that keeps pace with improved firearms. The perk demonstrates that all combat styles receive support through the crafting system. Local Leader enables establishing supply lines between settlements and building stores. This quality of life perk transforms settlement building from tedious to manageable by sharing resources. The ability to create shops that generate income and provide services makes settlements genuinely useful rather than just decorative. Cap Collector increases prices when selling and decreases buying prices, while also enabling better stores. This economic perk helps resource-focused players accumulate wealth more efficiently. The ability to establish high-level merchants in settlements creates convenient trading hubs. Scrapper yields more components when breaking down weapons and armor, plus highlights items with valuable components. This seemingly minor perk significantly improves resource gathering efficiency. Players can quickly identify and collect the specific materials needed for crafting projects. Fortune Finder increases bottle cap discovery in containers, providing steady income growth. While caps become less important in late game, early benefits help players establish themselves. The perk demonstrates attention to progression curves and economic balance across game stages. Scrounger increases ammunition discovery, keeping players supplied for their preferred weapons. Ammunition scarcity can limit weapon choice, but this perk alleviates that constraint. This allows players to use their favorite weapons without constant anxiety about ammunition management. Bloody Mess simply increases all damage while adding gratuitously violent death animations. The perk's name is perfectly descriptive, and its gore effects add dark humor to combat. This straightforward damage bonus has appeared across multiple Fallout games, becoming a franchise tradition. Mysterious Serum, obtained through Cabot House questline, provides temporary bonuses without addiction risk. This unique consumable demonstrates how quest rewards can provide mechanical benefits beyond experience and gear. The Cabot family's dark secrets and eldritch artifacts add cosmic horror elements to Fallout's typically nuclear-focused narrative. The Cabot family themselves represent one of Fallout's strangest storylines, involving an ancient alien artifact that grants immortality. Jack Cabot has kept his father imprisoned for centuries, believing him insane while using his blood to maintain the family's longevity. The revelation of what Lorenzo Cabot found in ancient Arabian ruins blends historical fiction with Lovecraftian horror. Lorenzo's artifact, a crown that grants psychic powers and immortality, suggests that aliens or otherworldly entities have influenced Earth long before the Great War. This ancient mystery contrasts with Fallout's usual focus on retro-futuristic technology and nuclear devastation. The choice to free or continue imprisoning Lorenzo presents genuine moral complexity. USS Constitution's robot crew, the Weatherby Savings and Loan, maintain their pre-war programming to fight the British 2 centuries after their original mission ended. Their determination to reach the ocean despite being miles inland and mounted on a building showcases both admirable dedication and complete absurdity. Helping them represents one of Fallout 4's most purely entertaining quest lines. Ironsides, the Constitution's captain, maintains perfect military bearing, despite circumstances that would break most individuals. His unwavering commitment to naval tradition, and duty while commanding a ship that will never sail again, is simultaneously inspiring and tragic. The crew's success or failure depends on player assistance, making their fate feel meaningful. The scavengers attempting to dismantle the Constitution for parts represent practical wasteland mentality versus preservation of history. Their utilitarian approach makes economic sense in a world of scarce resources, yet destroys irreplaceable heritage. This conflict between pragmatism and preservation appears throughout Fallout's environmental storytelling. Pickman's Gallery showcases one artist's dark interpretation of wasteland justice. The serial killer Pickman exclusively targets raiders, arranging their bodies in grotesque artistic displays. His art raises questions about whether murdering murderers is justice or just another form of madness, refusing to provide easy answers. Eddie Winter, the pre-war mobster turned ghoul, represents how the worst of humanity can outlive the apocalypse. His transformation into a ghoul allowed him to survive centuries, continuing his criminal activities across different eras. Nick Valentine's vendetta against Winter provides personal stakes in an otherwise routine bounty hunt. The Memory Den's technology for viewing and altering memories presents both therapeutic possibilities and horrifying abuse potential. Dr. Amari uses the technology to help people, but the same systems could be weaponized for interrogation or mind control. The ethical implications of memory manipulation receive thoughtful exploration through various quest lines. Vault 118, featured in Far Harbor's DLC, was designed as a luxury vault for wealthy clientele, the social experiment intended to examine class conflict by mixing rich residents with staff. However, the vault never received its actual wealthy inhabitants, and the residents found there are actually robo-brains containing pre-war human brains, some of whom are murder suspects. The murder mystery in Vault 118 tasks players with solving a crime among these robo-brain personalities. The twist that everyone involved has been dead for 2 centuries, yet their consciousness persists, raises philosophical questions about identity and justice. Can someone who physically died, but whose mind survived, be held accountable for crimes? Cliff's Edge Hotel in Far Harbor contains one of the game's creepiest moments. The synth art installation, created by a clearly disturbed individual, showcases how isolation and ideology can twist creativity into something deeply unsettling. The mannequin synths, arranged in disturbing tableaus, create genuine discomfort. Vim Pop Factory introduces a regional competitor to Nuka-Cola, showing that even before the war, beverage corporations competed viciously. The factory's lore reveals corporate espionage and sabotage between Vim and Nuka-Cola representatives. This pre-war corporate warfare continued even as nuclear war loomed, satirizing misplaced priorities. The Red Death, a local legend in Far Harbor, turns out to be a mirelurk of unusual size. The buildup suggests something far more dangerous, making the reveal simultaneously disappointing and humorous. This subverted expectation demonstrates Fallout's willingness to deflate tension with absurdist humor. Dima's moral compromises protecting Acadia include replacing Far Harbor's former leader with a synth duplicate. This infiltration and murder, justified as necessary for peace, mirrors Institute tactics Dima supposedly opposes. His utilitarian calculus, prioritizing outcomes over methods, forces players to consider whether noble goals excuse terrible actions. The choice to reveal Dima's crimes to Far Harbor threatens the fragile peace but upholds truth and justice. Concealing them maintains stability but makes players complicit in cover-up. Neither option is clearly correct, exemplifying Fallout's best moral dilemmas, where all choices have significant consequences. Kasumi Nakano's identity crisis drives Far Harbor's initial plot, as she believes she might be a synth. Her journey to find answers at Acadia demonstrates how synth existence creates existential anxiety even among humans. The question of whether her doubts stem from real evidence or psychological issues remains deliberately ambiguous. The nucleus's potential destruction through nuclear detonation represents an extreme solution to Far Harbor's factional conflict. Wiping out the children of Adam solves one problem while committing genocide. The game allows this choice without forcing it, trusting players to consider the moral weight of their decisions. Similarly, destroying Acadia protects Far Harbor from synth infiltration, but kills innocent refugees seeking peaceful coexistence. The synths at Acadia have harmed no one except in self-defense, making their destruction difficult to justify morally. Yet their existence threatens human communities paranoid about replacement. The option to broker peace between all three factions requires the most effort, but provides the most satisfying resolution. Achieving this ending demands completing multiple quests and making specific dialogue choices. The difficulty of achieving peace makes it feel earned rather than handed to players. Far Harbor's radioactive fog serves as both environmental hazard and atmospheric element. The permanent mist obscuring visibility creates constant tension and makes navigation challenging. Condensers that push back the fog protect settlements, making their defense crucial for survival. Trappers, Far Harbor's hostile human faction, survive by raiding and salvaging in the dangerous fog. Their use of crude armor and weapons demonstrates adaptation to limited resources. Despite being antagonists, their struggle for survival in one of the Wasteland's harshest environments is understandable. Gulpers, the massive salamander creatures unique to Far Harbor, represent the island's dangerous wildlife. These amphibians grow to enormous sizes and hunt in the fog-shrouded swamps. Their presence makes exploration nerve-wracking, as they can appear suddenly from the mist. Fog crawlers might be Far Harbor's most dangerous creatures, massive mantis-like monsters with heavy armor and devastating attacks. Even high-level players struggle against these predators. Their design and behavior make them memorable and feared enemies that encourage careful navigation through their territories. Hermit crabs using vehicles as shells showcase creative creature design. These massive crustaceans wear entire trucks, buses, or vans as protection, creating surreal and dangerous encounters. The sight of a bus suddenly sprouting legs and attacking captures Fallout's unique blend of humor and horror. The children of Adam's true immunity to radiation gets confirmed in Far Harbor through gameplay mechanics. While seeming like mere religious delusion in other games, here their faith apparently grants genuine protection. This supernatural element raises questions about whether their beliefs create reality or tap into something genuinely mystical. Adam's Spring, a bowling alley converted into a place of worship, shows how pre-war recreational spaces transform in the apocalypse. The juxtaposition of bowling lanes with religious devotion to radioactive elements creates the kind of absurd yet logical progression typical of Fallout's world building. The submarine base beneath the nucleus contains active nuclear weapons, giving the children of Adam genuine military power. Their possession of these weapons is terrifying, given their apocalyptic theology. The fact that they've shown restraint in not using them demonstrates more nuance than their fanatical reputation suggests. Grand Zealot Richter leads the Nucleus faction with genuine charisma and conviction. His faith is absolute, yet he demonstrates political acumen and strategic thinking. This makes him more than a simple fanatic, presenting a leader who genuinely believes his path serves the greater good. Tectus, The potentially replaceable High Confessor represents the danger of corrupted religious leadership. If Dima replaced him with a synth, the entire Nucleus faction operates under false guidance. This infiltration storyline forces players to decide whether maintaining peace through deception justifies the means. Alan Lee, Far Harbor's resident hardliner, pushes for aggressive action against perceived threats. His paranoia about synths and hostility toward the children of Adam creates conflict, but stems from genuine desire to protect his community. His perspective, while extreme, represents understandable fear in uncertain times. Captain Avery's secret identity as a synth replacement creates dramatic irony throughout Far Harbor. She's become a beloved leader, proving synths can positively contribute to communities. Yet her very existence proves Dima's willingness to murder and replace humans, validating some fears about synths. The choice to reveal Avery's true nature destroys Far Harbor's trust in leadership, but provides honest truth. Concealing it maintains stability, but perpetuates Dima's deception. Like many Far Harbor choices, neither option is clearly superior, both carrying significant moral weight. Longfellow's regret over his wife joining the children of Adam adds personal tragedy to Far Harbor's narrative. His bitterness toward the faction stems from loss rather than simple prejudice. This personal history adds depth to what could have been a one-dimensional gruff guide character. The Mariner's obsession with strengthening Far Harbor's defenses drives her to extreme measures. Her willingness to do whatever necessary to protect the settlement makes her valuable ally, but dangerous fanatic. Her questline explores how protective instincts can become destructive when taken to extremes. Shipbreaker, the massive fog crawler. The Mariner tasks players with killing represents a genuine existential threat to Far Harbor. This legendary creature's death provides safety and valuable materials. The hunt demonstrates how settling the island requires dealing with its apex predators. Old Longfellow's cabin serves as a base of operations for exploring Far Harbor. His isolationist survival demonstrates that thriving alone is possible, with sufficient skill and preparation. Yet his willingness to help the player suggests even the most independent survivors benefit from human connection. The island's unique crafting materials, including certain fish varieties, add local flavor to the equipment systems. These regional resources encourage exploration and make Far Harbor feel distinct from the Commonwealth. The variety in crafting materials across DLCs prevents them from feeling like mere map expansions. Far Harbor's expanded workshop options, including new defenses and structures, give settlement builders more creative tools. The ability to construct specialized items themed to the island enhances the settlement system. These additions demonstrate how DLC can improve base game systems beyond just adding content. This brings us to exactly 200 facts about the Fallout universe, covering everything from core mechanics to obscure lore, from beloved characters to philosophical dilemmas, from powerful weapons to moral complexities. The Wasteland holds countless more stories, but these 200 provide a comprehensive journey through what makes Fallout special. Rest well, Wanderer, and may your dreams be filled with adventure rather than rad storms.